Believers say it is the tomb where Jesus was buried and rose to heaven.Now. For the first time, experts appear to have confirmed at least one element of the Christian narrative of its history. Researchers sampled mortar taken from between the original limestone surface of the burial bed, where religious followers say Christ was laid to rest, and a marble slab that covers it. They believe the marble dates to around 345 AD, which ties into historical accounts that the first Christian Roman Emperor, Constantine, ordered the tomb be enshrined in a new church. Constantine took this decision after his envoys discovered the tomb beneath an older temple dedicated to the goddess Venus in around 326 AD. The discovery was made by researchers from the National University of Athens who worked to restore the Edicule shrine, which houses the tomb, at Jerusalem's Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Experts took samples of mortar from various locations within the Edicule back in 2016 with the results, as first reported by National Geographic, only now becoming public. The earliest architectural evidence found in and around the tomb complex until now dates to the era of the Crusades. This would make it no older than 1,000 years, aligning with the church's total destruction and subsequent rebuilding in 1009 AD. But the Athens team's dating suggests that the Edicule is a much older structure. Speaking to National Geographic Antonia Moropoulou, who directed the Edicule restoration project, said, "It is interesting how these mortars not only provide evidence for the earliest shrine on the site, but also confirm the historical construction sequence of the Edicule." When the first Holy Roman Emperor Constantine sent representatives of the church to Jerusalem to locate the tomb in around 325 AD, they were directed by people in the region to a Roman temple built 200 years previously. This was destroyed, and the tomb was discovered beneath, carved into a limestone cave. Constantine ordered that the interior of the tomb be revealed and the Edicule was built around it. The tomb itself features a long shelf, or burial bed, which Christian tradition says is where Jesus was laid to rest, following his crucifixion. This is surrounded by a marble covering, thought to have been installed at a much later date, potentially as late as 1555 AD. But when the marble cladding was opened on October 26, 2016, during restoration work to the Edicule, an older slab of marble was found resting on top of the original limestone surface of the burial bed. The mortar tested was taken from between this limestone surface and the slab of marble on top of it, which is marked with a cross cut into it. Experts determined that this older marble was installed around the 4th century AD, lending credence to the Christian timeline of events. Scientists also dated the surrounding limestone tomb using 2 brick samples taken from the structure. Mortar samples from remains of the cave's southern wall were dated to 335 and 1570 AD. Researchers used a technique known as optically stimulated luminescence (OSL) to make their finding. The method allows scientists to date ancient stone by measuring when sediment was most recently exposed to light. When sediments are buried or blocked from sunlight, natural background radiation results in energy being stored in minerals such as quartz. If the mineral grains are not exposed to light, the energy builds up and represents the amount of time since their burial. Scientists can then measure the stored energy in the laboratory and pinpoint when the layers of mortar last saw sunlight. Earlier this year, further work was undertaken to restore the historic site. History of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Christian tradition says Christ's body was laid on a slab cut from a limestone cave after his crucifixion by the Romans more than 2,000 years ago, shown in this painting by Friedrich Overbeck. Christian tradition says Christ's body was laid on a slab cut from a limestone cave after his crucifixion by the Romans. The burial slab was enclosed in a structure known as the Edicule, a word derived from the Latin term Edicule meaning little house. An ornate structure with hanging oil lamps, columns and oversized candlesticks, the Edicule was erected above the spot where Christian tradition says Jesus' body was anointed, wrapped in cloth and buried before his resurrection. Jewish tradition forbade burial within the walls of a city, and the Gospels specify that Jesus was buried outside of Jerusalem, near the site of his crucifixion on Golgotha, also known as the Place of Skulls. However, soon after the burial, the walls of Jerusalem were expanded, putting Golgotha and the nearby tomb within the city itself. According to Eusebius of Caesarea, the Roman Emperor Hadrian in the 2nd century AD built a temple dedicated to the goddess Aphrodite, in order to bury the cave in which Jesus had been buried, and assert the dominance of Roman state religion. The first Christian emperor, Constantine the Great, ordered in 325 that the temple be replaced by a church. When his representatives arrived in Jerusalem to attempt to locate the tomb, they were sent to the temple built by Hadrian 200 years earlier. The Roman temple was razed, and excavations beneath it revealed a rock-cut tomb.The top of the cave was sheared off to expose the interior, and a church was built around it to enclose the tomb. During the building of the church, Constantine's mother Helena claimed to have rediscovered the true crosses. It is claimed that she found 3 crosses. She tested each by having it held over a corpse, and when the corpse rose up under one, that was the true cross. The church was then completely destroyed in 1009 by the Fatimid Caliph al-Hakam by Amrullah, known as the Mad Caliph or Nero of Islam, in a bid to destroy Christian sites. What and where a floor plan of Jerusalem's Church of the Holy Sepulchre, with the Edicule chamber marked in red on the left. It was then rebuilt once again in the mid-11th century, when an agreement was reached between the Fatimids and the Byzantine Empire in 1027-8. The rebuilding was finally completed with the financing at a huge expense by Emperor Constantine X Monomachos and Patriarch Nicephorus of Constantinople in 1048. The rebuilt church site consisted of a court open to the sky, with 5 small chapels attached to it. A 12th century restoration by the Crusaders gave the Holy Sepulchre its current appearance, while in 1808 a fire all but destroyed the Edicule. In 1852, the Ottoman authorities then governing the Holy Land provided a framework for resolving disputes inside the church. This picture shows workers removing the top of the tomb of Jesus Christ in the Church of Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. The burial slab was enclosed in a structure known as the Edicule, a word derived from the Latin term edicule meaning little house. This picture shows the restored tomb after renovation work was completed. It was last reconstructed in the early 19th century after a fire destroyed it, but repairs are long overdue as the structure was damaged in an earthquake in 1927. Excavations inside of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre during the 20th century revealed remains of what is believed to be Hadrian's temple and walls from Constantine's original church. Archaeologists also found an ancient limestone quarry and at least half a dozen other rock-cut tombs, some of which can be seen today. Just in time for Easter, a Greek team completed a renovation of the Edicule. Restorers cut a small window from the shrine's marble walls for pilgrims to see for the first time the bare stone of the ancient burial cave. Gone was the unsightly iron cage built around the shrine by British authorities in 1947 to shore up the walls and the black soot on the shrine's stone facade from decades of pilgrims lighting candles. And gone were fears about the stability of the old shrine, which hadn't been restored in more than 200 years. If this intervention hadn't happened now, there is a very great risk that there could have been a collapse, Bonnie Burnham of the World Monuments Fund said. This is a complete transformation of the monument. The fund provided an initial $1. £4 million, £1 million for the $4 million, £3 million restoration, thanks to a donation by the widow of the founder of Atlantic Records. Jordan's King it.The and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas also chipped in about €150,000, £135,000/$178,000 each, along with other private and church donations. The limestone and marble structure stands at the center of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, one of the world's oldest churches, a 12th century building standing on 4th century remains. The shrine needed urgent attention after years of exposure to environmental factors like water, humidity, and candle smoke. Three main Christian denominations jealously guard separate sections of the church, but they put aside their long-standing religious rivalries to give their blessing for the restoration. In 2015, Israeli police briefly shut down the building after Israel's Antiquities Authority deemed it unsafe, and repairs began in June 2016. A restoration team from the National Technical University of Athens stripped the stone slabs from the shrine's facade and patched up the internal masonry of the shrine, injecting it with tubes of grout for reinforcement. Each stone slab was cleaned of candle soot and pigeon droppings, then put back in place. Titanium bolts were inserted into the structure for reinforcement, and frescoes and the shrine's painted dome were given a facelift. The restorers also made some discoveries. On October 26, the team entered the inner sanctum of the shrine, the burial chamber of Jesus, and temporarily slid open an old marble layer covering the bedrock, where Jesus' body is said to have been placed. Below the outer marble layer was a white rose marble slab engraved with a cross, which the team dated to the late Crusader period of the 14th century. Beneath that marble slab was an even older, grey marble slab protecting the bedrock, and mortar on the slab dates to the 4th century, when Roman Emperor Constantine ordered the Church of the Holy Sepulchre built. The restorers cut a small window from the shrine's marble walls for pilgrims to see for the first time the bare stone of the ancient burial cave. "It seems we are in front of levels of history that are validated," said Antonia Moropoulou, who supervised the renovation. Concern for the church's stability brought Christian denominations together, and Moropoulou hopes it ushers in a new era of cooperation. She hopes the communities will make some changes in long-standing customs inside the church, like pilgrims smashing their lit candles onto the Edicule's stone wall, so the structure is not compromised. Now, money is being raised for another round of restorations, consolidating drainage and sewage pipes underground around the tomb to stabilize its foundations, so renovations won't be needed for years to come. "Here is a monument that has been worshipped through the centuries and will be worshipped forever," said Moropoulou.